the glorious historic Matadora. So unfortunately, the video of part 2 of all of these buildings, here's a little sneak peek for you, is not ready because I have some unexpected plans this weekend. So we're going to do a little bit of a speed build instead. So I got a few minutes here. I'm going to build on this little blue square right here so you guys get to see my strategy for how I tackle all of these diagonal squares I have going on here, because they are a bit tricky. These ones are 45-degree angles. They're perfectly diagonal, so these aren't too tricky. But when you start getting to like 2s and 3s and 4s, those are tricky. But I'm going to show you kind of how I tackle this. So first, I'm going to try and find some materials. So I kind of already have a few things in mind. I am feeling an orange building, and this cut copper is a very nice shade of orange. I'm also gonna maybe throw in some orange concrete, and then we need something with texture because this one is very flat. Kind of liking this chiseled sandstone. It's looking real good, real juicy. Yeah, we'll start here. So usually it's always very important to make yourself a nice little line of where you want your building to go. Helps out a ton. You can always change up the shape a little bit. You know, you could go an extra 1 block out. But for the most part, I usually stick with the shapes I build. But I usually start out by getting rid of the blue, or whatever color it is. And I don't normally build with shaders, so this is a little bit difficult for me. Alright, so usually I start with something like that. Sometimes I have my windows go all the way down. But for now, I'm just going to kind of mark out. So that is our center point, because we have 2 and then 2, 1 on each side, on the outsides. So usually my bottom floors, I make them 1 block taller than the rest. So usually I make my normal floors 3 blocks. So that means this one will be 4. So our first ceiling block will be there, and then that'll come up. Something like that. And then if we want, we can world edit this. Not 120. Oh my god. And then since we have every 2 gaps there, or 2 block gaps, we'll do that, but it's a little uneven there. So we could do 2, 2, and 4. That works. And then we could have a little pop out on the 4 part. Internally thinking, yeah, I have no plan for any of these buildings. I literally just wing it. And then the backs of the buildings that face the alley are usually pretty blank. Maybe there's like 1 or 2 windows on them, but usually they're pretty boring. On the same with this side, because this side literally has no view. You're just staring right into that wall. And it is a little bit harder to world edit this because it is right up against that, so it's hard to like highlight it because it would interfere with the building that's already there, and we don't want that. And we don't want this grass in here either. So usually my strategy is just get the shell of the building up, very little detail, just basically a box, and then from there I start filling it in, adding the details. So that's basically what I'm going to do here. And I do kind of want to break up the height a little bit, because like that one's 3, that one's 3, that one's 3, that one's 3. So I feel like making another 3 floor here is just a little bit. So I'm going to make this one 2, so we have a little bit of a dip down. Carrying on. So I do double stack my floors. So that'll be the ceiling of the first floor, and this layer will be the floor of the second floor. Just swing this around real quick, and then the second floor is going to be 3 blocks, and then that'll be our ceiling. Boom. So now we're with something looking like this. So what we could do is maybe something like that, where we have 3 windows on the top and 2 bigger ones on the bottom, because usually there's like a storefront on the bottom floor and then like an apartment on top. So I usually like to keep the windows on the bottom a bit bigger. And then here we can keep the 2 gap window. And then with this 4 gap of 4, was thinking about maybe trying to do a bay window here, but it's on a diagonal, so that's gonna be pretty tricky to do. So let's just continue, I guess, with this shape, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'm just procrastinating. I'm avoiding it. Yeah, well, you can do the bland wall. This is easy. All right. So here we have a pretty boring looking shell. I mean, you could just call it quits here and just slap a roof on it and call it a day. But I'm going for a nice old rustic Caribbean style here. So we're going to add some details. Starting off with another layer on top of this. I just realized that I usually like having 2 layers on both of them just for consistency. Makes it look nicer. And I double stack all my floors. Alright, so I'm going to pull out some glass. I think black will do good because it doesn't have any lines in it. Whereas like the gray has the lines in it. The black does not. However, with this shader, it is not see-through. With any other shader pack, this would be see-through. It's just with Suess Renewed, for some reason, black stained glass is not see-through. Alright, I can't decide if I maybe want to like make the windows that small or keep them floor to ceiling, because those right now are floor to ceiling windows. But that looks just puny. Thinking I'm going to keep the floor to ceiling windows. This one maybe gets that. Can't decide. I can't decide. How does it look if I do it on both sides? We'll keep it for now. Let's work on this bay window. I was just avoiding it a few moments ago, and it's now that time. So I do want it to pop out a little bit. I was thinking maybe something need like a sandstone slab or something. And a nice little brick texture. Endstone brick looks nice. And we can throw some glass in here like so. It looks really funky. Alright, we might have to rework this. Alright, so this is what I ended up So this is what I ended up coming up with. I think it looks pretty alright. For a diagonal bay window, it's not bad. If you back way up and squint your eyes, you can make it out. So I think that's a nice little detail. In the windows here, I think we'll just put a little slab. Those windows aren't big enough. These ones, nah, I think it looks better just on those. These ones we'll leave just like that. I think that looks fine. Yeah, so that's the top windows. Let's do the bottom windows. These ones will be a little bit easier because they're bigger. But I mean, anything on a diagonal isn't really going to be easy. But it's all just following the shapes that's already there. So if you want your windows to be in one, so there's like, it's kind of hard to describe it, but this is kind of like a half block. And then that would be a full block in. So if you wanted to indent one, I would recommend going a half block in, kind of like this. So how there's diagonal 2, but this is 3. And it ends up giving you the same effect as indenting it 1 block if you were on the grid of Minecraft. If that makes any sense, I don't know. I'm trying my best to explain it. But yeah, that's kind of like the whole strategy for building on a diagonal. It's just following the shape. Just like any other normal build, however, it can get a little confusing. A lot easier to confuse yourself doing diagonals. But that's why I start with just a boring shape, a boring box, and then I add the details slowly. Like, I wouldn't have been able to plan this whole bay window out by hand. That's why I had to build everything else around it first. And then, so I knew how big I could build it. So now, is a point where I kind of figure out a little staircase situation. And how are we going to get up and down? So I'm thinking we maybe wall off this section right here and make a staircase in this back corner. So that would be a wall coming off of here. And I am not going to be doing this interior, by the way. Just pure shapes. Just pure exterior for all of this. So if you're wanting some interior, I'm sorry, not this time. Schedule was a bit crunched this week. So we're just gonna continue raising this up. So there we go. We now have a stairwell, kind of, I guess, up to the roof. That's important because up on the roof we are going to have our HVAC equipment. So if any service people need to get up here to do maintenance, they can. And I believe we need to make it one more block. There we go. There is no stairs in it now. That's because I want to put the floors in before I do that. And also I'm going to fill in the rest of this wall. So, to fill in the floors, super easy if you have worldedit. So, he said 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there. So I want to make this grass. We're going to grab ourselves an axe. Sorry, there's just intense thinking right now. I'm having a huge brain fart on how this works. Alright, so, basically, you're going to type in BR. I already messed that up. Cylinder, which is going to be CYL. Spruce planks, which is going to be our material. The radius and the depth. And while holding the axe, we're going to press enter. It's going to say brush. Perfect. And then we're going to go mask, grass, block. And now it's only going to affect the grass block. Boom. There we go. And then we can just go mask sand. There we go. And these two holes can just get filled in. There we go. Boom. Just like that. Brushes. I love them. I use them everywhere. The only problem with them is if you make the brush too big, you can make the radius of them smaller. It will kind of extend a little bit out of the lines. But however, brushes are very cool. Very useful. As you can see, that's how big it was. But yeah, little trick there. And then for the floors, for the ceiling, I'm just going to go fill white wool 20. And we'll fill in some spruce planks for the floor. And white wool for the ceiling. And then up here, I usually do 50% stone. And we'll do 50% cobblestone. Could give it some texture. Look at that. Just like that. We filled in all the floors. So now we can work on the doorway that's going to be here to get in. That does not need to be a step up. This can actually go all the way down to the ground. Why do I have sand? Alright, I want you. And this part gets really tedious, so I might, I don't know if I should skip this or not, but diagonal stairs are not fun at all. As you can see, I kind of just curve them around and hope for the best. I think, oh, one more block. Where does that put me? See, that's a very tight squeeze. I wanted the doorway to be over here. So, yeah. See, diagonal stairs are a pain. I'll be right back when this is done. So yeah, this is what I came up with. I can't get the door to go anywhere else but here, so I don't do interior. Whoever does interior to this building, good luck. Godspeed. Diagonal interior is not my thing. Not even remotely. I'm just going to cover the top of this staircase up with slabs. I'm going to grab some stone and just fill it in like so. Alright, what other details can we do? So this little patch of grass here, we could fill it in with sidewalk, or you could put some bushes there, whatever you feel. So I usually like doing a front little decorative thing. We're at that point. So usually I do like little peaks and valleys. Sometimes I do slanted stuff with dormers. This one's a little bit more modern with some glass, little pop outs. So like there's different designs and variations that you can do for these. Honestly, the little shape I just made right now looks pretty good. I might just leave it right there and throw some little roof tiles on it. Make it look really Spanishy and Caribbean, tropical. I'm feeling that we need some overhangs here on the bottom floor, so we could maybe something like that. Yeah, just to shade it a little bit because oh yeah, we need a door. So that can be our store entrance. And let's actually grab a door. So oak doors in the Greenfield pack look like glass doors, which is clutch. So usually with doors on a diagonal, if you kind of do it like this, you kind of get still get the double door effect, but it only takes up, I guess, one block. So yeah, pretty cool trick. I actually prefer doing doors like this than having two side by side. Like that just looks so clean, especially when you're on a diagonal. It's actually looking pretty good. Maybe we could add some slabs under here for some detail. Let's get a little overhang here as well, for people coming out of the residential entrance. If it's like, we are in a tropical area with frequent downpours, so it could rain unexpectedly. So we want to have a dry spot so people don't get soaked immediately after walking out the door. And if you're wondering how I got this double inventory, it's actually a mod where it extends your hotbar, and it's very clutch because you can just bind a key to it to switch between them. It essentially just doubles your inventory, so you can, especially, it's really good if you're doing a lot of details. You can have double the amount of blocks accessible to you at a time, and it just cuts down on menu digging, which I appreciate. So if you want to check out the mod, I'll try to leave a link in the description for you guys. Hopefully I don't forget. But anyway, let's clear the inventory. Alright, so texturing. Let's do the brush thing again. So right now it is made out of waxed cut copper. I wanted to mix in some orange concrete, and I think that'll be it. We'll just mix in some orange concrete with this. How much darker is that? We'll mix in some stripped acacia wood as well, and we're gonna bind it to the stone axe. We're gonna do BR. This time we want it to be a sphere because we're doing something vertical, and we're gonna do 80%. With a radius of 6, and we are going to mask waxed exposed copper. I hate all these block names, god damn it. There we go. That was the wrong block. See, yeah, I did waxed exposed copper. It needs to just be waxed cut copper. Dumb. There we go. And then yeah, you can just click around, texture it. It makes it look older, more weathered, especially on the back and sides. The front I usually kind of like to leave a little bit cleaned up, you know, because people have been maintaining the fronts of the building, but you know, the back of it, who cares about that? Who cares about this? Yeah, let's put a door on the roof. So I usually like to grab cherry doors. They look like they look like those doors with the little push bars and stuff. On the roof, I usually grab these. So these are jigsaw blocks. I have absolutely no clue what this does. However, they do make for great HVAC units. So I feel like this building's not very big. We could get away with just doing some singles here. And then I usually take a mossy cobblestone wall. No, go away. And connect these up a little bit, kind of into a little shape like that. And then I'll usually build these little Wi-Fi antenna phone line combo things. like that. And there we have it. We have successfully speed ran one building. Woohoo!